Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so as we already know, I guess I'll give you the official Haynes word, but the Nets are willing to deal with the Lakers in regards to Kyrie, so long as it doesn't add to their financial commitments for next season. Now, of course, as I learn, a simple swap between Westbrook and Kyrie Irving would not be beneficial for the Brooklyn Nets because of the luxury tax. So even though it looks good on paper, yeah, we can swap them. Okay, just add a couple pieces. Nah, I ain't gonna really want to do that because in doing so, that would add a significant amount to what it is they're paying. So on the back end, so that part gets a little tricky. I wish that were worked into our understanding so that we could have that kind of be on the forefront of our minds when considering whether or not a deal is likely or not. But nevertheless, those are the type of things that must be understood in regards to transactions. So, new information, work accordingly. Now, as far as this is concerned, nothing changes. I don't imagine. I think they're probably closer to a deal than they were last night. Obviously, if they're still on board with this, then they're probably just working out the particulars and being as smart as they possibly can on both sides. So I think that's what it is. Like I said, these two organizations have been rumored to have been conversing a month ago. So whatever conversations are being had today, in my mind, probably have been already had some kind of preliminary discussions about previously, if all of those reports are to be taken seriously. So nothing new here. Honestly, I'm not surprised by anything I'm hearing. Brooklyn doesn't want to put themselves on the hook for anything that's not unnecessary. So why would that be unreasonable? Now, as far as we're concerned, we feel the exact same way. We don't want to take on Harris's contract. If for some reason the other contract is available to us in Seth Curry, he's a more valuable piece to us and to the league as a whole, obviously, given the fact that Joe Harris is coming off the injury and his contract isn't all that favorable. He's an expiring contract at $8 million, certainly someone we would want till the end of the season, but if for some reason things go wrong or we find a better opportunity, he could be packaged at a deadline and be probably one of our most attractive and valuable pieces. So Brooklyn shouldn't want to give him up, and we should definitely want him on our team. And all of this makes sense. Whoever ends up with the best leverage in the situation, I'd imagine, will be able to keep the Curry. That's what it really comes down to. Who gets to keep the Curry? I don't know. I really don't know at this point. But that's the discussions. Now, on the other end, you're looking at the KD situation. I haven't heard anything new. I haven't discussed anything, or rather thought of anything new that I can discuss with you guys in regards to that. But what I can say is I'd imagine as time progresses, more teams are finding ways to make that work. And so that's one thing that's just can be expected. As time progresses, time will help you come to the conclusion that you can add this team and get that done. Oh, maybe that piece will work. Oh, it does work. That kind of thing. Time helps you come to those conclusions, find those things. So I think all in all, probably nowhere closer to this happening than we were last night in terms of expecting it to be imminent or anything like that. But what I will say is I don't think teams are backing away from one another. I don't think guys are walking away from the table right now. So that's very encouraging. And two, the Nets have two massive pieces that they have to move at the same time. So when you're trying to mull over what to do, even if you try to prioritize, say, I'm going to get KD done first, new developments could come to where now Kyrie makes more sense to move. So they're trying to structure it out. But I'd imagine that would be very difficult to do, especially when people are calling you about both players at the same time. Luckily enough for them, in that regard, Kyrie Irving doesn't hold as much demand from what is being said, but that can change too. You know, that is an ever-changing situation. Because I can envision a situation, for example, where a team looks at a player, Sacramento, prime example, Keegan Murray. Did you see him play yesterday? That can change Sacramento's entire way of looking at their team if they are reacting to what it is they just saw in that player in whatever way. Not to say they are or aren't, but that's how quickly things can change, because now I'm looking at my team differently, so that makes me a player to do something that maybe I wasn't willing to do 24 hours ago. And now I'm reevaluating a certain other guy who may not have been on the block, but since Keegan's balling like this, Now maybe I'm willing to let go of him. It's like, I don't need that piece as much. Now I need something else. Let's say Keegan went off and had a horrible game. Okay, now I'm working into my equation. Keegan's going to be an inefficient player. It may take a little longer than I considered. Now I may want a piece that I didn't want yesterday or something like that. You know what I mean? So I know people don't realize things change that fast, but they do. In the summertime, especially when teams are trying to build their team and they're looking at talent in the summer league, developing as how or showing themselves to be whoever they're going to be. So I look at it that way. I think Keegan Murray could legitimately make a team like Sacramento look at a player B, whoever, I ain't gonna put a name out there, and say, you know what? Yeah, I don't need you at that price. No, if he gonna do this, if he even has any inclination of coming out playing like this, maybe we need to try to add a win now piece to him. Maybe we need to do more to get better, since this kid looks like he's gonna be win now or whatever. Whatever. You know, that's for example. Strictly for example. So that's how I'm looking at it, man. Because things can change so quickly, I think teams are looking and they're patient. Now, I'm curious about Colin Sexton. That's the piece I'm looking at. Because even though he's coming off an injury, he's a young player who everybody knows is going to be an all-star if given, an opportunity to continue his career as he's been doing. Young Bull is Young Bull. Like, I haven't forgotten at all who that is. And he just so happened to go down with an injury. But because a player like him is so young, a knee injury where we are in terms of rehabbing from knee injuries, I'm not as worried about him. Now, granted, setbacks can always be a thing, but I'm not worried about him at all. I wouldn't hesitate to acquire him to be who it is that I want him to be. I'd give him an extra year to become who it is that he used to be, but I think he'll get there. And so I wouldn't hesitate to sign the young bull. I wouldn't. And if I'm one of those teams like Utah, Brooklyn, there are other teams as well, San Antonio, I'm looking at that piece and saying, I can put him together with any timeline. Indiana, I can put him together with any timeline. Maybe not Indy, they got guards. But the point is, if the Blazers for some reason move on from Dame, there are a lot of different places a guy like Young Bull can slip into. Maybe even go back to Cleveland, although I wonder if they actually have his money to begin with. I think he probably would have re-signed already if they did. Plus, they just gave DG the super max, so the rookie extension max. I think that's a better way of putting it. Either way, DG got 230 something, so I don't know if you're going to be able to play Young Bull down the road what he's going to be worth when it matters. So I don't think they re-sign him, and that means he's headed somewhere else. Maybe slots in Dallas, replaces Jalen Brunson. I think that makes a lot of sense for Dallas. So yeah, Colin Sexton has a lot of suitors. I don't know if he's restricted or unrestricted. I should have checked, but even if he's restricted, I wonder if Cleveland's going to match, if that is the case. So keep an eye on him. He's a needle mover. If he goes to the wrong spot, he could blow up the whole dang conference. You know what I mean? If let's say he goes to Miami, Colin Sexton goes to Boston, Austin, he's not going to do that. But I'm saying, like, that's the type of player he is. He can take a 1-year deal and completely throw the NBA off. Like, you know what I'm saying? He can really do that. Ill-advised, by the way. I would expect he would sign up for more years, but when you have a piece that talented floating around in a waiver wire that doesn't have a whole lot of talented pieces, you're definitely paying attention to where the heck he's going to go and what he's waiting for, why he hasn't signed yet. James Harden, we know what's up with James Harden. Obviously, his situation is very specific. They're going to restructure him, but they need to know exactly how much they're going to need. And they don't know yet because they're not really sure what's available to them. They're in a holding pattern like everybody else. They're waiting for the KD situation. They're waiting for the Donovan Mitchell situation. They're waiting to see what happens with Kyrie. They're in the mix for everybody. And so judging by what's possible will likely be what James Harden will be signing for. That's just common sense. If he's willing to take less money, you don't know how much you need. So we're going to wait it out and see how much we need, and then from there we sign. So that's what's going on there in my mind. And with Ayton, I believe Ayton is going to be involved in something in terms of a sign and trade. I don't think Phoenix is looking to do anything with Ayton. I don't think Ayton's looking to move on into any situation until Utah situation is settled, Brooklyn situation is settled, Miami situation is settled. Because look, if Miami makes a move for, say, Donovan Mitchell or KD, Bam is going to be a part of that. If Bam goes out, maybe Ayton slips in. And that makes all the sense in the world. So that's not an independent thought. I read that somewhere. I wish I could say that was my own. It's not, but it makes sense. You can put him there, and that will be an option that he would appreciate a great deal. So that's what we're waiting for. Once KD moves, we'll know what's up. If Toronto, for some reason, gets KD, that could be an interesting place to see if what's left behind there. Maybe someone goes up there if they're depleted of everything, right? So, yeah, that's what we're paying attention to. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say, man. I'm gonna go in there and finish cooking my food, and hopefully we'll have some more news to share with you guys. Everybody enjoy their holiday season. My name is BDF44.